You should delete all negative feedback online to protect your brand's reputation. That is absolutely not true, and I'm going to talk you through why that is. Hello and welcome to Engage and Thrive, also known as EAT, your coffee catch-up with me, your host, Taelon, where we will go through common problems and hurdles that come up in business, marketing and advertising and try and demystify them. I know firsthand how complicated and confusing it can seem with all the different acronyms and all the things to do in business. So let me try and help you be better in business. First things first, let's start with grabbing a coffee. First thing is, tell me the last time you trusted a business, whether a product or service or a brand, that had only 5-star reviews. Because this is where we need to bring it back to being a human. I know for a fact, if I go on a product or service, so Google Business or Amazon or whatever it is, and I see that it's only got 5-star reviews, I'm suspicious. Because I just think, how can anyone or anything be that perfect? So that I just want you to have a think about. The next thing to say, obviously myth busting this, is if you delete comments or ignore comments, reviews, feedback, whatever it is, it's not going to go away. So people will just carry on writing things wherever they want to, especially if someone is really aggravated and angry. They will find a way to continue writing that feedback. There's a famous phrase, and it's been attributed to Jeff Bezos, but I don't know if he actually was the one that said it. That is, your brand is what people say when you're out the room. And that's what you need to think about. By deleting or getting rid of, removing or hiding negative feedback and comments, then you're not allowing people to have that conversation. And you're also only removing it from where you can see. There will be other places that they will post. As always, let's go through vocab. So the first one is ORM, which stands for Online Reputation Management. So this is essentially tactics and strategies of how you can influence and control your brand online. The next one is NPS, which is Net Promoter Score. So typically this is when, if you've ever received a feedback survey or anything asking you, how likely are you to recommend this product or service to your friends, to your family, etc. The next one is social listening. So this is a way of monitoring conversations that are being had about your brand. And this may be directly tagging your brand, or it could be people mentioning your brand without having tagged you, or even using hashtags that you're using. The next one is SOV, which is share of voice. So this is a way of measuring how much a brand is being talked about in comparison to competitors. VOC, voice of customer. So this is feedback you've collected from your customers about their customer experience, their needs, their expectations, anything like that. That is the voice of customer. And the final one is review strategy, which is basically planning for managing to get more customer reviews and feedback. Today we're going to go through 3 key takeaways about how you can manage unwanted feedback, comments, reviews, whatever it is. Basically a way of managing your online reputation. Number 1, respond professionally. So the first thing I'd say is, anytime and if you get any negative feedback or comments, take a step back, take a breather, and potentially even sleep on it. Because the worst thing you could do is respond immediately when you're aggravated or caught off guard or potentially busy doing other things. What you want to do is you want to be able to respond calmly. And I'm saying this as well, you always want to respond. So no matter what the feedback is, the comment or the review, you want to own that conversation and respond. Because also that's a way of showcasing good customer service and building the trust with your audience that you are a trusted brand and also that you're human. Other things to think about is, don't get defensive, don't start to argue. At the end of the day, someone's written a comment or a feedback based on how they're feeling, and you don't know how they're feeling at that time and that situation and that scenario. So the best thing to do as well is think about how you could offer solutions to their comment or review. So if it's that they had a bad experience, could you offer for them to return back to your store or your restaurant and speak them through, or offer them a free coffee? Or if it was a product or service online, could you give them a free upgrade or a 7-day free trial of something? But think of ways of how you can offer a solution that gives them an improved experience. And obviously you would monitor that experience. What I would say with staying professional is you also need to recognize when people are trolling. So they just writing comments and feedback for the sake of it. And in those instances, yes, of course, you can step away and you don't need to engage. To be honest, don't engage with people trolling because it'll just make it worse, and it's just such a suck of your energy and not a good use of your time. Number 2, learn, improve, and monitor. So what I will say is, as I mentioned, there are so many different ways that people could be writing reviews and feedback. And just to name a few platforms, and I've had to write down a list to remember, and there are so many more, but people could be writing reviews on Google Business, your Facebook page, TripAdvisor, Trustpilot, G2, Glassdoor, Mumsnet, you name it. And the thing is, there are so many ones to monitor, and this completely depends on your target audience as to where they may use as an outlet of their review. Oh, and also not to forget, if you have a product and you were selling it on an e-commerce website like Amazon, people are obviously typically writing reviews on Amazon. So the thing is, you want to be able to monitor those reviews and respond to them. So the thing is, you need to think about who your target audience is and where are they leaving reviews. And obviously, if you have a profile on those platforms, you're likely to get a notification when you have a review. But you also need to think about when they're leaving that feedback, do you need to investigate their comment, their review, and actually then use it as a learning to improve your business? So for example, if someone's saying they had a bad experience with your online product or service because they didn't get a response from the customer service when they had a problem, look at that process and think, okay, how could we improve it? Or manage their expectations by having an FAQ somewhere that says, typically we will respond within 48 hours. Or if they've come to your physical location and you potentially have a restaurant and there was a long queue, great for you, but actually, how could you manage their expectations about being in that queue? Is there a way that you could give people ticket numbers? Is there somewhere that you could provide them to sit? Think of that experience. Everything that is given as a review is feedback, and you can use the opportunity to learn and improve your business. This is free ideas that people are giving to you, and this is an engaged audience because they're taking that time to write that review. Of course, there may be ways that you are unsure what people are saying about your brand. So what I would say, the first thing that's obviously the quickest, easiest, and cheapest way of doing it is do a quick Google search of your brand. So if it's your brand name or your full business name or even your founder's and business name, just have a look and see what's coming up. Obviously, the first hits are likely to be your website, your social profiles, but just keep digging and then you'll see what comes up. Another one is also using ChatGPT. Again, make sure you're not logged in or you don't have a customized profile, but ask ChatGPT about your brand or about your founders and leadership team and see what it comes up with, because it may pull up sources that you didn't even know about or that you didn't find on the Google search. Another way is setting up Google Alerts. So if you have a Gmail account, you can actually go through and set up Google Alerts. Again, this can be your business name or an acronym of your business name, or adding in your leadership team or leadership team and your business name. Or you may want to put in your product and service names, especially if they're unique. So you know if anyone mentions that name, it's about your business. And then you can set up the frequency. Do you want it to be daily or as it happens, and locations? They're really handy. And again, this is another way too that you can pick up extended mentions, so it can be from press and media, etc. And the final way, there's social listening tools that you can pay for to actually notify you about mentions of your brand. And like I said, these would be indirect mentions, so people just talking about it and not having tagged your brand. So there's Mention, Brandwatch, Meltwater. There's quite a few on the market, but again, these are typically paid for tools. Number 3, stay one step ahead. So a way to combat negative reviews and feedback is actually to make sure you're encouraging positive feedback and reviews. So by having a review strategy and actively asking for reviews, and I did an episode really early on in the podcast about asking for customer reviews. But if you use certain tactics that just come naturally and organically in your customer experience, then you're going to be having those positive reviews. So if you had one negative review in every 10, like, okay, and again, it humanizes you. Whereas if you're not getting any reviews and then you get one really bad review, it can look so tragic on your profile, and it probably feels so tragic. So obviously things that you can think about to ask for reviews is if you have a physical location. So a shop or a restaurant, could you have a QR code that's actually at the checkout that people can scan to give you a review there and then? Or a lot of times it may be on the receipt to say, leave us a review, and then people can actually show you the review and they get a discount or a free coffee next time they come. Or if people are buying an online product or service from you, can you send a follow-up email once they've actually started that service or received that product to ask for their feedback and ask for their experience and ask for the review? And again, this comes down to, it completely depends on you as a business and your target audience, how you would engage with them, whether it's the emails, whether it's WhatsApp messages, whether it's the QR codes, whether it's giving them a physical leaflet to take away. That will be down to you and should be personalized to your business and reflect your brand. But what I would say is, it's okay to ask for reviews, and you should be prompting to ask for reviews. As a wrap up, what I would say with all of this is, don't ignore negative comments and feedback. Don't delete negative comments and feedback. Engage with it, stay professional, and own that conversation. Because at the end of the day, this is your online brand reputation. And to go back to that famous quote, this is what people are saying when you leave the room. So make sure you're engaging in that conversation so you can own what's being said. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Engage and Thrive with your host, Taelon, and see you next week.